He had it all. Elias, they called him the King of Wall Street. Private jets, penthouses, overlooking Central Park, a life stitched together with threads of gold and ambition. He was the master of the financial universe, a titan who could move markets with a whisper. Every tick of the stock market was a beat in the symphony of his success. He thought he had conquered the world, that he had built an unshakable empire. But empires built on sand are destined to crumble. The crash wasn't just a market correction, it was a cataclysm. A single, brutal morning, and Elias's world imploded. The numbers on the screen turned blood red, and his golden empire vanished like a mirage. The jets were grounded, the penthouses repossessed, and the so-called friends who had toasted his success disappeared faster than his fortune. He was left with nothing but the deafening silence of failure and the ghost of a life he once knew. Stripped of his title, his wealth, and his identity, Elias was just a man adrift in the wreckage of his own making. Lost and broken, he drove until the city lights faded into the rear-view mirror. He ended up back at the one place he had spent his entire adult life trying to escape, his childhood home, a humble, weather-beaten house smelling of sawdust and old memories. And there, in the dusty workshop where he'd spent his youth, was his father, a simple carpenter, sanding a piece of oak with the same steady hands that had built the house around them. His father didn't lecture or judge. He just handed Elias a piece of sandpaper and pointed to a rough-hewn plank. "Work," he said, his voice as solid as the wood he shaped. Elias, the man who once managed billions, was now sanding wood. The first few days were agonizing. His hands, accustomed to keyboards and champagne glasses, were raw and blistered. His mind, wired for the frantic pace of the trading floor, screamed in the quiet of the workshop. He felt like a failure, a fallen king reduced to manual labor. But as days turned into weeks, something shifted. The rhythmic scrape of sandpaper against wood became a form of meditation. The scent of pine and cedar cleared the noise in his head. He learned to feel the grain, to see the story in each knot and imperfection. He wasn't just sanding wood, he was smoothing out the rough edges of his own soul. He was learning the language of patience, of precision, of creating something real and tangible with his own two hands. This was a different kind of wealth, one that couldn't be quantified on a balance sheet. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset paint the sky, his father spoke about what he called the midnight compass. He said, "Son, when you're awake at midnight and all the noise of the day is gone, what truly matters? What direction does your heart point to? That's your midnight compass. It's not about what you have, but who you are when everything is stripped away. That's your true north." That conversation was a revelation for Elias. He realized his midnight compass had been broken for years. He had been chasing external validation, money, power, status, believing they were the markers of a successful life. But in the quiet of the night, what had he truly owned? Stress, anxiety, and a profound sense of emptiness. He was rich in possessions, but bankrupt in spirit. His father, with his calloused hands and simple life, was the wealthiest man he knew. His wealth was in his character, his purpose, and his peace of mind. Elias began to embrace a new philosophy, one he called practical minimalism. It wasn't about getting rid of everything for the sake of it. It was about intentionality. He asked himself, does this add real value to my life? Does it align with my midnight compass? He sold the last vestiges of his old life, the designer watch, the cufflinks, not for the money, but for the freedom. Each item shed was a chain broken. He learned that freedom wasn't owning a private jet. It was not needing one. It was the ability to wake up in the morning and feel at peace with the day ahead, not shackled by the expectations of others or the relentless pursuit of more. He found joy in the simple things, the taste of coffee brewed just right, the warmth of the sun on his face, a conversation that nourished the soul. With his father's guidance, Elias didn't just learn carpentry, he learned to build a life. He started a small business, crafting custom furniture. Each piece was a testament to his new philosophy. Simple, functional, and built to last. He wasn't the king of Wall Street anymore. He was Elias, the carpenter. And for the first time, he felt truly successful. His work wasn't about accumulating zeros in a bank account. It was about creating beauty and utility, about connecting with people on a human level. His clients weren't just buying a table or a chair. They were buying a piece of his story, a piece of his transformation. He found that the principles he learned in the workshop applied to everything. In carpentry, you measure twice and cut once. In life, you think before you act. You choose your materials, your values, your principles with care, because they form the foundation of everything you build. Looking back, Elias realized the market crash wasn't the end of his life. It was the beginning. It was a painful, violent reset that forced him to find his true north. He lost a fortune, but he gained a soul. He traded a life of frantic accumulation for one of deep, abiding fulfillment. He learned that true wealth isn't measured by what you own, but by the freedom you possess in your spirit and the strength of your character. So I ask you, what is your midnight compass pointing to? When the world goes quiet, what direction does your heart lead you? Maybe you don't need to lose everything to find yourself, but perhaps we can all learn from Elias's journey. We can all choose to live more intentionally, to focus on what truly matters, and to build a life, not just a lifestyle. A life of purpose, of character, and of genuine freedom. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content that explores building a meaningful life. See you in the next one.